presentation.
All right, dear colleagues, dear organizers, I'm greeting you from our native city, Batumi, and we are with scientific collaboration with our Ukrainian colleagues. I will translate our presentation with great pleasure. First of all, I can say that we are interested in the theoretical considerations of the questions about the essence and peculiarities of ethical standards of artificial intelligence as a sustained digital existence in the context of worldview assessment. The research is dedicated to the most important aspects of the ethical worldview in the framework of the digital information world through software of the creative algorithm by artificial mentality, especially there are cognitive aspects as consideration of gnostic wisdom, plus providing utilitarian knowledge and axiological aspects as overestimation, mental and ethical values, and plus demonstrating creative concepts and pragmatic results. The work presents key conceptual findings that highlight the influence of ethics on influencing digital mindsets, processes, systems, and supply chains that drive our daily lives from energy grids to healthcare, food distribution to online banking are increasingly dependent on digital technologies. The physical world is being digitalized and the second machine age, characterized by the use of artificial intelligence in digital technologies, have the potential to significantly change society. All enables machines to execute cognitive tasks with minimal or no human interaction. However, the use of AI in digital practice forces us to grapple with tensions between technological and social advancement on one hand, and the same technological inducing ethical dilemmas on the other hand. At the same time, it has a profound impact on contemporary education system by challenging the status quo, but promising new value propositions and enhanced digital revenue streams. AI development has typically been the purview of a select group of engineers, scientists, programmers, and architects who have failed to sufficiently represent the ethnic, cultural, gender, age, geographic or economic diversity of human social life. As systems became fully autonomous, there is a risk humans will become dependent on these systems. When AI is biased by design, humans forfeit their agency to serve the needs of rather than its original purpose of serving humans. Some recent examples of digital ethical issues include the unjust acquisition of millions of Facebook users' data, impact of misinformation and fake news, aggravated by the use of social media or violence's lyrics rights in Orient. Uh, an explosion of cybercrime related to data banking and breaches affecting millions of consumers, bias against certain groups of gender, ethnicity, race, and etc. By facial analysis software and algorithms. According to appropriate inspected concepts, it is important for the research the content of the axiological viewpoints of the famous original thinker, such as the first German professor in ethics and philosophy of I at the University of Erlangen-Nuremberg, Vincent C. Müller, about the thriving ethical theory of digital values. To our time, that became a quite interesting conception of the relationship between ethics and policy of artificial intelligence. An American theologian and physics professor, Jan Grim-Berbo, on the creative formulation on the non-scientific positions in the topic on the relationship between digital technological systems and ethical values. Vincent Müller, in the work Ethics and Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, considers that if machines act in ethically relevant ways, then we need a machine ethics. Accordingly, this theory is neutral with respect to the question whether AI systems truly have intelligence or other mental properties. It would apply equally well if I and robotics are merely seen as the current phase or automation. At the same time, controlling who collects with which data and who has access is much harder in the digital world than it was in the analog world of paper and telephone calls. Many new technologies amplify the known issues. For example, face recognition in photos and videos allows identification and thus profiling and searching for individuals. The focus on use does not presuppose which ethical approaches are best suited for tackling these issues. They might well be virtue ethics rather than consequentialist or value-based. The design of technical artifacts thus has ethical relevance for their use. Jan Grim-Berbo's conception in his work, Technology, Environment, and Human Values, presented three kinds of correlations between attitudes towards nature and attitudes towards technology. Technology as liberator, technology as threat, and technology as a value-neutral instrument of power. He concluded with a look towards new directions in appropriate digital technology and natural intelligence. The charm of information technology has become fashionable, and its conversion into pre-calculated boundaries is gradually becoming more and more impossible. In such a situation, AI specialists need their own Hippocratic oath. When it comes to the achievements of the scientific and technological revolution, it is difficult to give specific guidelines and instructions because, in fact, almost every aspect of the work package can be claimed. After all, technical services is important as development itself. Ian Graham's second search as a Gifford lecture builds on material developed in technology, environment, and human values. In the introduction of the lecture, the author treats three kinds of technologies: agriculture, energy, and computers. The theme of computers is developed in terms of their effect on work, on civil liberties, the military, and the complex worldview question of artificial intelligence and human nature. Barbo then turns to the theme of digital technology, information society, and the future, including challenges to the digital environment, where the access artificial technology and where to redirect its use. It was found that in response to the communicative challenges of the artificial mentality, both in the objective risk situation and in the subjective dangerous conditions, the balancing of the algorithmic complex of the smart monitoring mechanism is reliably revealed by the regulatory principle of moral assurance. And what's about the history of Gifford lectures? We must note here that a Scottish advocate and judge, Lord Gifford, was the founder of the Gifford lectures, and an annual series of lectures. Purpose is to promote and diffuse the study of natural theology in the wider sense of the term. In other words, the knowledge of God. A Gifford Lectures appointment is one of the most prestigious honors in Scottish academia. The lectures are given at several Scottish universities: University of St Andrews, University of Glasgow, University of Edinburgh, and University of Edinburgh. They are normally presented as a series over an academic year and given with their intent that the edited content be published in book form. A number of these works became classics in the field of the relationship between theoretical worldview and science. Thus, we frame the research question as what are the key applied ethics implications for the use of AI in digital technologies. Following the introduction, the work outlines motivations for the paper and some ontological framework. This is followed by a theoretical discussion on digital ethics and digital technologies within the context of the axiological framework as a priori template. Through a systematic literature review and qualitative synthesis, we inductively develop a typology of ethical implications with the use of AI in digital technologies. Finally, we develop a conceptual model with some worldview propositions. The objective of this paper was to outline key digital ethics implications in the context of I use in digital technologies. Though systematic literature review and qualitative synthesis, we identified digital ethics implications as associated with some axiological archetypes. Technological progress in the use of AI in digital technologies has intensified since the start of this century. Applications driven by AI are now embedded in all areas of human existence, and the concept of matching general intelligence, being able to pass the famous Turing test, seems inevitable in the next few decades, if not years. At the same time, several shapes in all propagating biases, stereotypes, and inexpressible autonomous decisions have highlighted an urgent need for the global community to direct the ethical norms and regulatory issues. We must note here the regulatory issues refer to concerns related to compliance with laws and standards, such as privacy regulations, anti-kickback rules, and data standards, which impact the operation and innovation within systematical processes, as highlighted in the paper. Based on our specific goal, we think that it's worthy to notice the following circumstances. Attempts to construct standard ethical patterns and templates that predict the use of artificial intelligence in a safe and reliable context are defined and developed at the level of theoretical and worldview discourse. Maneuvering with basic concepts and ideas of applied ethics in the process of continuous development of digital software technologies as a certain regulatory factor of artificial intelligence is argued and evaluated. Worldview paradigms for overcoming the difficulties of managing artificial intelligence as a dangerous digital operation by developing an ethical strategy and presented and analyzed. And at last, the traditional famous wisdom formulated by the first civilizations independently of each other. It can be found among the same thing as the ancient sages. The maxim were called the golden rule of morality. The maxim may appear as a positive or negative injunction governing conduct. Treat others as you would like others to treat you, and don't treat others in ways that you wouldn't like to be treated. It is a maxim that is found in many cultures and civilizations in the world. This can be considered as an ethic of reciprocity in the world intellectual culture, that is as a guarantee of the protection of intellectual property in the digital world as well. And this is by the list of bibliography what we have used in the work process.